Tonight, on the Nation Sports Show, we bring to you our latest recaps of this year's 2023 men's college basketball tournament. This past week, it was the Sweet 16. On the weekend, it was the Elite Eight. We are now down to the Final Four in this year's tournament. The Final Four will take place this Saturday in Houston, Texas. On Monday night, what final two teams will face each other in the college basketball championship game? Plus, we bring to you the latest breaking news in the NFL, the NBA, and more. It's showtime.
From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
All right, here we go. We're live. We're here. You wanted the best. Well, they weren't available, so you get us instead. It's once again that time of the night. It is once again Tuesday. It is our Nation Sports Show. I am Ezra, of course, and we thank you guys for joining us once again. Man, we got an action-packed show for you guys tonight. We got a lot to talk about. The Final Four NCAA is set, and especially on the men's side. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a history-making performance on the women's side. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different topics in that category, but also, of course, the NFL news, including Lamar Jackson with his announcement. We're going to talk about the different little bits of some trades and movements that have happened since the beginning of the new season for NFL, technically, and of course NBA as we creep ever closer to the playoffs. We're going to talk about that, and of course, we're going to have some specific thoughts about the Warriors Mavericks game from this past weekend and some post-event comments. Of course, that all will be discussed, as well as, of course, MLB, MMA news, whatever we can get into in our 2 hours here with you guys here on the show. Now, before we begin our discussions, of course, we got to get into how you can follow us. Of course, don't forget at ON_sports show on Twitter, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and Instagram.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Also, don't forget to follow us here live on the YouTube. Like, subscribe, share. Tell your friends, your family, people you like, people you don't like, just to bug them. Tell them what you need to do. But help us out and keep our subscriber numbers up. And, of course, we'll keep bringing you great content. Of course, I want to give a quick shout-out to our buddy Joey Thornton. Thank you for stepping in last week. We appreciate it, brother. Can't wait to have you back on soon, full-time. Also got to give a shout-out to our bro, of course, Nation Eye Fights guy, and our frequent contributor, Hijacker Mike, as well. Shout out to you, brother. Can't wait to have you back on the show soon with your picks and your boxing news as well. Also, don't forget to follow my cosplay crew at Too Sweet Cosplay this weekend. C2E2 in Chicago, Illinois, and McCormick Place. CC07 and Cosplay Central. Find us there if you're in the Chicago area that weekend. It's also WrestleMania weekend, so it's going to be very busy. We got a panel on Saturday from 12:30 to 1:30 in room S502B. You find us there. We're going to talk about everything from Emma. We're going to talk everything from the GCW collective to, of course, the grandest stage of them all on both nights. So definitely check that out. Definitely follow us there on all of our socials at Too Sweet Cosplay. Also, don't forget to follow our individual socials as well, which will be listed in the bottom of this video. And also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner as well. Look at their socials at the Nation's Corner. Don't forget to follow them on YouTube. Their show Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Of course, WrestleMania being a big topic this week. Don't know if we'll have a specific show this week for Mania, but we'll see. But that enough of my chatter, enough of me plugging everything. I'm not like Gallows and Anderson where I'm trying to sell you shit. Let's go ahead and freaking get going. All right. Now back with us again is the leader of the Niner gang after taking some time off due to some health issues. He is back with us, ready to give us his very polarizing but very well balanced takes, especially when it comes to certain people from a certain team in Dallas. The one, the only, Mr. Kevin Rory. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I'm glad to be back here, and my blood pressure's been up a little bit, and it might just be because I'm a Warriors fan, but hell, I don't know we'll see at the end of the season. But glad to be back, guys.
Glad to have you back, brother. And of course, can't do the show without this man. We can't do the show without the patriarch of this show. Without this man, nothing else would be possible. Nothing in this show would be possible. Well, we might actually do a better job if he wasn't here, but I digress. He's gonna disappear more than Metallica's song on the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack. The one, the only, Stephen Wyand. What's up, brother?
What is going on, everybody? I'm so glad to be on the show with you guys. As always, talking about a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of wrestling, but a lot of sports, and we got a lot to get into. And it's Mania weekend for WWE, and to confirm, there will be a Nation's Corner episode this Saturday, as the guys and gal will preview WrestleMania 39. I believe the show will be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, 3 p.m. Pacific. So I believe that is the scheduled start time for Saturday. Again, to be on the lookout for the Nation's Corner social media platforms, at Nation's Corner on Twitter, everywhere else on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It is at the Nation's Corner. And again, they will be live this Saturday talking about WrestleMania 39. And it's hard to believe, guys, that Mania season is already here. I mean, it's going to be one hell of a show this weekend in the City of Angels in Los Angeles. And speaking of hell of a shows, you and I, Ezra, went through some hell of a rock and roll shows this last week.
Yes, we did, man. You went and saw, of course, none other than Buck Cherry with the legends from heavy metal themselves, Mr. Skid Row. Of course, Eric Cromwell leading the charge with, of course, the original band. And then also, I got to see, of course, the legend himself, the Ocho, Chris Jericho, baby!
La Champion!
Doing his thing with Fozzy at the Hobart Art Theater in Hobart, Indiana. Definitely just an absolute great show. Chris Jericho, of course, man knows how to control a crowd. Great vocals from the man. His band is awesome, of course. You know, with Billy Gray and Rich Ward being the two OG members of Fozzy. And then, of course, PJ Farley on bass from Trickster, who's got some awesome background vocals himself. And their new drummer from Through Fire, who's a beast on the kit. Definitely a great show. Packed house, nearly sold out, if not sold out at the door. Just an incredible night. And I'm glad you had I'm glad you had a great time seeing Skid Row, man, and Buck Cherry as well.
Yes, I mean, Skid Row let me just say this. I mean, if you've had doubts about can this band still go, well, let me be the first one to tell you that Eric's vocals live are so good. I mean, he can sing the Sebastian Bach material so good. If you close your eyes, you could literally think that that's Bach still up there, but it's not. This guy has that powerful voice. When he was singing Quicksand Jesus, dude, that was unbelievable. I mean, he was hitting the notes on that. He was hitting the notes on Slave to the Grind. He was hitting those notes on The Threat, on Monkey Business, on You've Gone Wild. I Remember You. I mean, my God. I mean, Dave Snake Sabo, Scotty, Rachel, they all three OGs of that band, and they still sound incredible to this very day on stage live. If you ever get a chance to see these guys with Eric being their lead singer, who, by the way, on Sunday during their show in Atlanta at the Buckhead Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, that was the date, March 26th, that he celebrated his first year with the band. 1 year ago, he joined the band. So he's been with them now, hard to believe, for a full year. They played 2 songs off the new album. The gang's all here, the title track and Time Bomb. And just the new stuff sounds really good, of course, with the classics. And I thought overall both bands brought it. In my opinion, I thought Skid Row was much better. They just had the better, tighter sound. I mean, Buck Cherry was pretty good, but everybody in that crowd was there for Skid Row. I mean, clearly. I mean, they brought it. The energy level, everybody was singing, headbanging. The energy was just amazing during that show. And there's a lot of stuff going on, not just in wrestling and sports, but also in music. Metallica's dropping a new single, the title track to their new record coming out this Thursday. There's rumors floating around that there's going to be a music festival. Actually, it is confirmed as far as it's happening. The Power Trip Festival is happening in Southern California in October. Metallica and Maiden are pretty much confirmed at this point for this festival because they've been dropping with their logos with the Power Trip festival tweets and all that stuff. So they're pretty much confirmed, but all the details for that festival in October for California this fall will be confirmed on Thursday. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, wrestling and music, but we're a sports show, baby, and let's get going.
Yes, definitely. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the NCAA tournament because that's the big things that going on. March Madness, it truly has been
some really good games this past week.
It's just been truly March Madness because, first of all, there's no number 1 or number 2 seeds in the Final Four. That's been a rare occurrence and plus we see so many number 1s knocked out early. But get right into it. Let's talk about it. The Final Four is set. In the Final Four, we got Florida Atlantic taking on San Diego State, number 9 versus number 5. It's on April 1st at 5:09 for tip-off. And then on Saturday, the Miami Hurricanes taking on UConn Huskies. So it's going to be 2 crazy matchups on that.
If you had this bracket, you would be fooling yourself. I mean, nobody would believe you. I mean, UConn is probably the one team that realistically, or maybe even Miami to a certain degree, you could have made an argument that they could have made a run, especially UConn. I mean, UConn, by far, the 4 teams that are left in this tournament has been playing some of the best basketball in this tournament. I mean, they absolutely mopped the floor with Gonzaga in Vegas. They just ran them out of the gym during their Elite 8 game on Saturday last week. And they just made a mockery of the Bulldogs. And, they were just establishing their dominance in that game. And during the second half, when they were up by close to double digits, and Gonzaga star player Drew Terry gets flagged with the or gets fouled, foul call. That was just I got it, but I mean, Kev, as what being an athlete in basketball and football, when you're down there in the trenches and you're battling in the paint, you're gonna get physical. And them calling him on a foul, you should have called a double foul because they were both pushing and shoving. They were both playing for the ball. And I did not understand the foul call, because it changed the entire complexity of that game the rest of the way, with him getting his 4th foul call. But 17 minutes left to go in the second half. It changed everything. So
you're right, it did. I don't think when the game's on the line, I don't think the referees should be able to dictate at the especially very end. Let them play through it. Just let them play ball. If they were playing on the playground, nobody's gonna call a foul on that. They're just gonna play through it. But
exactly,
typical. Maybe not professional, but typical next level referees doing next level referee things, dictating games. It's a common thread in all sports.
Timmy, excuse me. When Timmy got called for that foul, it was unnecessary. I mean, Timmy is playing his heart out during this game. He's battling. I mean, he was struggling at times during this game, but he was determined, to keep his team in the game. I mean, and especially during that first half, Drew Timme was keeping these guys in the game. They were down only by 7. I mean, UConn was still making their shots. Like they just couldn't miss. They were hitting threes. They were getting into paint easily. And the Bulldogs were just missing their assignments. And Timme just knew that he had to grab the game by the bullhorns, and he was doing that. And just to call him for an unnecessary foul, I mean, it was just uncalled for. I mean, because the fans in that arena, Timme and his teammates were visibly pissed off and upset. And you couldn't blame them, because with 17 minutes left to go in that second half, there were still plenty of ball game left. And after that, the sideline for Gonzaga was just sucked out of the arena. I mean, Drew and his teammates are like, the hell with it. Our best player is going to possibly foul out, and he can't be as aggressive, because by Timme getting that second foul call, or that fourth foul call, excuse me, that right there just changed the way he played the rest of this game.
Absolutely. I agree with every sentiment you guys said about that.
But hats off to UConn for playing one hell of a game. I mean, overall, they've been the best team in this tournament. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like you said, they ran Gonzaga out of the gym. And, we got to give some props to San Diego State. I mean, they took out number 1 ranked Alabama. They took out number 1 ranked Alabama in the Sweet 16, which is, as you know, Alabama, no matter if it's football, basketball, any collegiate sport, Alabama is one of the most dominant schools in the entire realm, in the entire NCAA, regardless of the profession. When you're number 5 seed who comes in there, shocks them, wins by 7 in the Sweet 16, and then goes on to defeat Creighton as well, you're doing pretty good. This is going to be an interesting matchup. You got 2 teams that you wouldn't expect to make it to the Final Four. You got to think those collegiate schools that you usually see in the Final Four are not in it. Of course, North Carolina opted not to be in it. You've got Kansas. They're not in it. You've got Kansas State not in it. Michigan State out.
Kansas State had a good run, and they're out. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. If you look at all the major teams that you usually see in the NCAA Final Four, or even in the Elite Eight, those teams are not there. Alabama, like I said, possibly the number 1 ranked school in the NCAA, regardless of the sport, no longer in it. That's just proof that it is truly March Madness. Anything can happen. This Final Four proves it, man. You look at a school like Florida Atlantic. Who would have thought a school like that, a number 9 ranked school in their respective division, would come in there and clean house, come in there and the big dance.
And to add to that as well, they did not win a single tournament game until this year. And the radio call on Westwood One by, I forget who the play-by-play announcer was, but his call of this team perfectly describes them. Phenomenal, amazing, unbelievable.
They are the Cinderella story of this tournament so far.
Nobody saw this team making any run in this tournament, and they had completely shocked everybody. I mean, this past Sweet 16 may have been one of the craziest Sweet 16s in years. I mean, especially with the final 2 number 1s going down, but more importantly, the fact that Florida Atlantic University is going to the Final Four for the first time in school history.
I mean, look at the final 2 teams that they beat to get to the Final Four. The Tennessee Volunteers, ranked number 4.
Their defense was phenomenal.
Kansas State, ranked number 3. They beat them by, they beat them by 3 points, but they beat them. I mean, Florida Atlantic is, shocked a lot of people. And then like I said, even Miami to a degree, yes, they're mainly known for their football. They're mainly known for their football program, but they got a pretty good basketball program for what it appears to be. Great coaching. And they're doing pretty well. They beat the Longhorns by 8. And look at them now. They're facing one of the toughest teams in the UConn Huskies. It's gonna be that match to me is gonna be the match of the tournament because it's gonna be a dogfight, literally and figuratively, because it's Miami Hurricanes, who, like I said, I know them more as a football school than a basketball. Taking on UConn, who's been a staple in the NCAA, whether it's the Final Four, the Elite Eight, doesn't matter. They're a staple in these last few rounds of the tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Exactly. And also to add to back with the Alabama San Diego State game from this past Friday.
Yeah.
San Diego was up 28-23 in the second and going into the second half. And Alabama seemed to be on cruise control, going up by 9 in that second half. And then they squandered that lead. I mean, oh man. And here's another crazy stat for you. Prior to this game, the Mountain West, prior to the Aztecs winning, went 0-6 in the Sweet 16. So they're the first team to win out of that region in the Sweet 16. Trends are meant to be broken. And San Diego State's defense, as PJ Carmissimo says, defense travels. And San Diego State's defense travels.
Yeah, what I learned from this, well, last year's it was the battle of the Blue Bloods in the Final Four, and this year it's just pure chaos. And I'll tell you why. I've said it all year, and I'll give you an interesting college stat also. The top 4 teams all season in the polls week by weekly has changed more than any time in NCAA history in college basketball. And the reason why that is I'm not knocking on those teams for doing good, like Florida Atlantic, Tennessee, etc., Texas, Kansas. I'm not knocking them at all. It's just the fact there's no dominating team in college basketball. Back in the day, you had Carolina, you had Duke, you had Kentucky, Kansas. Now it's just like the playing field is even. There's not one dominant team, because I've watched all the top tier teams throughout the year, just kind of browsing, and even Alabama got smoked by Tennessee in the regular season, and then turn around and Alabama does some smoking themselves. Same way with Houston. They go out and I'm not knocking them at all, but this is like the Cincinnati of college football a couple years ago when everybody said, oh, they need to be in the playoffs. They're top notch. No, they play in a weak-ass division. They play in a weak-ass conference that allows them to be that good. When they played the big dogs, what happened? Same way with Cincinnati in college football. They go up. They finally get their shot. They play Alabama and lose by 40. Jesus Christ, son. I mean, not really knocking Houston. I'm just saying if that's the number 1 team in the nation, it's not a dominant year for anybody in college basketball. But shout out for the teams who's got on a roll. Shout out to this Final Four. And I'm just going to say it right now. I think UConn takes it all.
And I agree, Kev. I think UConn is the best.
I got to look at defense, man. And I look at the way they smother teams in this tournament. I'm actually low-key rooting for Miami because, of course, Duke Blue Devils, ACC, I want the conference to win at that point. The only team in my conference I'm not pulling for is Carolina. But Virginia, Miami, etc., anybody that makes a tournament like that after Duke gets pulled out, I'm rooting for them. But I honestly, in my good heart, believe that UConn's going to take it all.
I agree. It's just that their defense, like you said, has been smothering. They got the best defense in all college basketball right now. They know how to smother teams. They know how to get them to make critical errors when they got the ball in their hands. And you know what? That says a lot about the coaching. That says a lot about their school program. To me, when you have a defense like that, let's say you talk about defenses, let's take it quickly. Let's go to the NBA real quick. You talk about a defense in the NBA, which of course we know most NBA teams don't have fucking defense. That's why we have 100. That's why you have 145 point scores in fucking regulation. But let's just say there is an actual high level defensive team. Let's say Golden State has a really good defense. In there, they're just smothering like the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets and stuff. They're making them make critical errors, turning over the ball and not making great shot selection. That's what UConn's been doing. UConn's been doing it effectively to teams. And you know what? That's going to be the thing that's going to drive them to that NCAA championship. Yes, they got great scoring. They got a great offense. But that defense, it's like in the NFL. If you got to have a good offense, yes, but you also got to have a great defense that's going to stop the ball from being advanced. Same thing here. You got to stop the ball from getting to the rim or allowing. You got to keep from perimeter shooters getting in, and you got to keep the 3-point shooters from getting the range that they need and getting the opening space. And UConn does that better than anybody.
And that's a great call, is because if you just to add that as well, because this is how you know the Huskies rely on their defense, because they knew going into this game against Gonzaga on Saturday night that Gonzaga's best player, Drew Timme, was their X factor. He was the engine that kept that basketball team going. And by them stopping him and keeping him pretty much at bay during this game, they had nobody else to turn to. Timme was the guy that kept them afloat. And by them taking him out of the game, UConn said, okay, give me your second best player on this team to stand up and stand in your spot and take over this game, because we don't think you have the players that can do it. We're going to expose you. And they did. They absolutely manhandled them in the paint on the defensive side of the ball, blocking their shots at ease, because the problem that Gonzaga had in this game is they were not taking the correct shots in this game. Drew was just forcing shots, and his teammates around him, they were just forcing very bad shots. I mean, when they were getting into the paint was clogged up with UConn defenders swarming the paint, and they were just rejecting shots easily. And you could just visibly see that Timme was getting frustrated, along with the coaching staff, along with his teammates. They were just getting very, shook up, from the pressure, because they knew, oh man, this is the best defense we've faced so far in these playoffs. And we can't, or in this tournament, and we cannot afford to miss no more assignments. And just, I mean, listen, and it's also is another common thread, the fact that, and we're going to get to this game in a second, but Kansas State, after their triumphant win against Michigan State on Thursday in that epic classic game, when they took on Florida Atlantic University over the weekend, their best player, what is his name? Noel. He was just playing his ass off for Kansas State, and he got taken out of the game very early, by FAU's tenacious defense. He was getting frustrated. He played pretty solid, but Noel just didn't have the game that he had against Michigan State. And there's just a common theme with these teams that are left in this tournament, San Diego State and UConn especially. These teams thrive on defense. Their defense will travel. And that's the most interesting factor in this game, is which defense is going to show up. And that's what's going to be great. I mean, these two teams had the best defenses left in the tournament.
Absolutely. You wanted to get into that Kansas State-Michigan State game, Stephen. Why don't you go ahead and lead a charge on that one?
Oh, well, let me just tell you now, this was one of the greatest college basketball tournament games ever. I mean, again, Noel playing his ass off, had over 20 points and broke a Kansas State record with 19 assists to go in this game to lead Kansas State to a 98-93 overtime victory against Michigan State. And Tom Izzo and his team, they bowed out. It was a hell of a game.
Oh, Steven.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to give real quick. I have some stats here, or I have a stat here about the UConn Huskies during the regular season. They have it looks like right here, it says right here for the for their defensive rebounds. Right here, 94.0 rebounds for defensive rebounds. 21st of 363.
Interesting.
Just wanted to bring that up real quick. I did see the highlights of that game, and I thought it was a very, very well fought game, one of the better games of the tournament. You got Kansas State, who's trying to get back into the Final Four, at the time. Then you've got, of course, Tom Izzo company, who are on a roll. Of course, as I mentioned last week when it came to Michigan State, Michigan State, of course, riding that wave of momentum and emotion coming in after the horrific situation that happened during the season that happened with those students that were unfortunately slain. So they were coming in there with a lot of emotion, coming in there with a lot of drive and determination. Kansas State had an answer for them, though, and from what I saw, it was a really, really hotly contested game.
Marquise Noel had 20 points, 19 assists, breaking that school's record with 18 assists in the tournament. I mean, just an unbelievable game. I mean, he stole the spotlight in this game, took over this game when it mattered the most. And let's face it, Michigan State has nothing to be ashamed of. And Tyson Walker tied the game to send the game tied up at 82 or 84-84 to send the game into, or I think it was 82-82. To send the game into overtime. And this was a back and forth affair. Just both teams were shooting the threes just left and right. It was just a crazy game. Just a game of runs. Just when you thought Michigan State had the game under control, Marquise Noel took the game by the horns and got his team back in the game. Just when you thought Noel and Kansas State had the game under control, Walker and the Spartans came back to tie or take the lead and go on a run. It was just a game of runs. It was a back and forth game that kept you on the edge of your seat. And I know those fans at Madison Square Garden in New York City had a hell of a time watching these two schools play their asses off and play an excellent perfection of a game of basketball, team basketball, two teams that wanted it all. But only one could come out the victor, and Kansas State came out to be the victors in this game against Michigan State.
Absolutely, absolutely. The NCAA Final Four is set. Like you said, we've kind of made our predictions already. We all agree UConn is going to take it all the way. I do agree with that sentiment. However, I do agree with Kevin, and the fact I could see the Miami Hurricanes walking away with that trophy. It could be a high possibility, but we can't discount Florida Atlantic or San Diego State. Those Cinderella stories, they exist for a reason. And why is it called March Madness? Anything is possible. So,
and this is telling you, when it comes to Kansas State, the last couple of years, in 3 previous years, Kansas State was 11-21, 9-21. And let's see, they were I'm sorry, not the second year they were 9-20, and then the next year they were 14-17.
By the way, Stephen, we got in the chat William and Randy both. William Gyron and Randy. Of course, Randy has stats that the Huskies haven't lost to any teams other than the teams from the Big East.
That's insane. And also to add what William said in the chat, he said, knowing these two teams and how their defenses are, the game could be 30-25.
Touche.
It could be. And this is also crazy how Kansas State's run was. Like I said, I spouted off those 3 seasons records that they had previously. Combined conference record, they were 21-33. You just can't make this stuff up. Anything in this tournament, it's possible. And this is why we keep on screaming to the heavens above and to the skies above that the college basketball tournament is the single-handed greatest tournament in sports.
I disagree. With that, Stephen. That's not true. No, the greatest tournament in all of sports. The greatest tournament of all sports is the King of the Ring. No, I'm kidding. Sports entertainment. Never mind. No, but seriously though, I do agree with that. Real quick, Steven, we're going to continue the NCAA talk, but I would be remiss and it would not be me if I didn't talk about the NCAA women's tournament. And we got to talk about the history-making performance of one Caitlin Clark from Iowa. She had the first ever 40-point triple-double in NCAA history, regardless, men or women. 40 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists. She has been a force in this entire tournament. I've seen some of her stats. Her last game before this one, she had 30 points just by herself. She is a beast. And Iowa is going to the women's Final Four based off that history-making performance. So congratulations to Caitlin Clark on making huge history, regardless of gender, regardless of division. She holds the record for the first ever 40-point triple-double in NCAA basketball history, regardless of gender. Congratulations, Caitlin.
That is unbelievable. And unfortunately, on the major media, you're not going to see a lot of talk about this because the men's tournament, or the men's sports dominate the women's sports. But put some respect on this young lady. I mean, she is playing unbelievable basketball. And it would not surprise me if she single-handedly leads Iowa to the championship. It's going to be a daunting task, but knowing her mentality, she can do it. She has the faith that she can lead her team to a championship. And if she can do that, that will basically, honestly, could make her the next rising star in the WNBA.
Absolutely.
Because what we are looking at right now, we are looking at a future, and I'm calling it right now. She is on Candace Parker's level. She is on Maya Moore's level. She is heading to that superstar level in women's sports.
Diana Taurasi.
Exactly. Just unbelievable. I mean, I cannot believe that this even happened. I mean, regardless of gender, let's put that past aside. Any athlete, male or female, this is an unbelievable level of feat to accomplish. And I think the media, I think the national media needs to put more respect on women's sports, because it's not just the men out there who are incredible athletes. The women are just as good too, because it's not just about the badass looks and the pretty looks. Women are also freakish athletes. I mean, put some respect out there. And we talked about this last year on our sports show last year about how there's women out there across tennis, across basketball, that don't get the recognition that the NBA players do, that the Djokovic's of the world, they don't get the recognition that, and Clark should be getting. Caitlin Clark has single-handedly put her team in the spot where she thought they were going to be, because she believes in her women. She believes in her team. And it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing how this even happened. And anything is possible in sports.
Absolutely. Just what a performance. And, and like I said, you know what? And if the fucking mainstream coverage won't cover that shit, you know what? This little damn show between 5 people who have never met in the same damn room, who are doing this just for the love of it. Guess what? We're gonna fucking cover it. We're gonna do the things. We're gonna do the right thing and cover this shit. So you know what? Fuck the mainstream media. We're doing it.
And that's the thing. And we talked about this. And Kev, you were on the show. We were talking about this. How the media out there in the mainstream loves to throw these little hot take quirks just to get clickbaits on stories and stuff and views. And they don't talk about the other ends of the spectrum of sports. They just talk about the main stuff, and that's fine, because that's where you're going to get all of the people like us who are going to talk about this stuff. But this right here needs to be mentioned as well. I mean, Caitlin Clark's record-setting tournament feats, this past weekend should be discussed.
Yeah,
But they're not.
William Gyron said, I watched the game. She was simply amazing. Kevin, you got any thoughts on this?
Well, people would have known she was amazing if ESPN would have put them on a damn national televised game once in a blue moon throughout the year. ESPN might put on 2 women's basketball games all year in college. Now, all of a sudden, they get national airtime and people see how good she really is. It's a travesty, man. Come on, dude. But that is all ESPN and the media's fault because all they have to do is put it like we talked about it last year. They're complaining about WNBA not getting a damn single view, but they scheduled the WNBA game to come on an NFL Sunday at 4:00 before Cowboys Giants. Who's gonna watch the WNBA at that point? You got to put out a better schedule, and that's all women's college sports. You got to put out a better schedule where you're going to get viewership, you're going to get views and ratings, but ESPN does not do that. So if they would have watched her from the get-go, they would have known she's simply amazing. And she's so good, obviously, she's got the attention on Twitter of the likes of Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's insane. You got NBA superstars out there glossing over her because she's that good, and people just now finally see it because they finally get put on national television. It's crazy.
Exactly. And that's another thing too. And this is not the women's fault. They're just doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're getting ready for the Final Four, just like the men are. But the men are going to get all the coverage over the women because, obviously ESPN thinks that women does not sell. Women does not sell sports. Sports is fucking sports. It doesn't matter if it's men or women. It clearly doesn't matter because Candace Parker is obviously evolved with the Turner Broadcasting Network with TNT. She's a part of the TNT family with Kenny the Jet Smith, with Shaquille O'Neal, with Charles Barkley, with Ernie Johnson. She is on a male-dominant channel calling NBA games because they know who she is. They obviously know her talent. ESPN didn't give her that platform, but TNT did. And I guarantee you, if any other network was to give these women chances, it would be somebody like TNT. It would be somebody maybe like an NBC. Something like that, but mainly TNT, because to me, TNT respects the other sports. You know what I mean? Like they respect women, they respect men, they respect equality in sports. And again, we talked about this a year ago, and we're talking about it again. And it goes to show you because William watched the game over the weekend. He knows the greatness of Caitlin Clark. We know the greatness of Caitlin Clark, but the national media doesn't know who the hell she is because they obviously don't care. They don't, she doesn't register as a superstar in our eyes because no shit, Sherlock, you're not putting her games in front of the entire world to see. You have to, like Kevin, like you just said, you have to put these women, these games at some point during your schedule. You can't just have men. I feel like I'm watching 2.5 fucking men when I'm just singing that shit. Anyways, but the simple fact.
What a fucking reference.
I know. But the simple fact that, Kev, you're spot on. You have to have a balanced schedule on these major networks to give everybody a glimpse of what's going on. Because if you don't give the women even a little opportunity to see what else is out there in sports, the national media, the audience that ESPN draws still to this day, they don't know what's going on because you're not giving these women the proper television respect to show their talents. And all they're getting is pretty much 30 seconds to maybe a minute. Meanwhile, the men's college basketball tournament is getting all the press and it deserves it because it's been great, but the women has been great as well.
Well, to be honest, if you want me to be honest, it's not just women either. Like, international players from any sport don't get no love either. And
No.
It's crazy because we talk about the NBA for just a second. 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA are all international. Giannis Antetokounmpo is Greece. Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, all international players. Nobody knew them until they tore up the league because they're not covered. And it's crazy because that's 4 of the top 6 players in the NBA right now today. And it's just like the women, they don't get covered either. And it's insane.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to quickly, of course, we got to talk, since we're talking about the women's Final Four, let's take a look at it. You've got Iowa, who's going to have their biggest test yet as they take on number 1 ranked South Carolina.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one because South Carolina, as we all know, either them or UConn or Connecticut have always been in this prime position to win a championship. And this is going to be Clark's biggest test.
Yep. Number 1 seed versus number 2 seed. And then you've got, that game will be at 8 p.m. But before that, you got number 3 ranked LSU taking on number 1 ranked Virginia Tech.
Interesting.
So that should be, those are going to be 2 fucking hard hitting games. I can't wait for that. But definitely both men's and women's tournaments looking real good this year. Can't wait to see how it all plays out and who gets to cut the net down and get the NCAA trophy. Of course, that'll be coming up here very, very soon. So definitely watch ESPN, ESPN Plus, whatever you got to do to catch it. Watch that shit. All right. Let's get into some NFL news, gents. And there's a decent amount of NFL news despite the kind of the trades and everything kind of slowing down. And, of course, I want to get into the biggest news, which is, of course, the news that was broken by Lamar Jackson. He announced on his social media that back on March 2nd, he had requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. So far, of course, that's not been granted. But Lamar looks like is looking to get himself out of the Ravens and look for other options somewhere. Mainly because, come on, let's be honest here. Baltimore doesn't want to pay him a big ass fucking contract. And this is no slight to Lamar, who's got great skills and is a good player, but he's trying to get money, elite money that, no pun intended on the elite part, the elite, he's trying to get elite money that, in my opinion, he rightfully doesn't deserve. Look, and this is not, and like I said, it's not a slight to Lamar. Lamar's good. He's got great skills, good mechanics, but he's not on the level of some of these younger quarterbacks. He's not on the level of a Patrick Mahomes. He's not on the level of a Justin Herbert. He's not on the level of, any of these younger QBs who have gone out there and made the names for themselves and earned these big contracts, and have won big championship games, whether it's a conference, division, or freaking the biggest one of them all, the Super Bowl. The grandest stage of them all for the NFL. And Lamar's had some good moments, but Lamar has also been very questionable, whether it's been his injury status, his play on the field. It's very, very interesting. And now we have this whole drama playing out with Baltimore, kind of not in the same vein with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, because, it's kind of in a similar vein, but not in the same retrospect of the way it's handled. But Lamar is looking to get himself out, and he's looking to get himself somewhere else where he thinks they will pay him. The question is, and this is a question I pose to you guys. I know what some of your opinions may be, but I'm just going to pose it out here and bring it out in the open. Is this a smart move by Lamar, being that he's his own agent? He does not have an agent backing him. He's doing all these dealings himself. Is this a smart move for Lamar Jackson to be doing this, or do you think that he should have an agent that could help broker and negotiate the money that he wants, and what team would you think, if at all, would be willing to pay big money to get a guy like Lamar Jackson?
Well, I'll start by saying this about the Lamar money. It's not about where he plays. It's the fact that the system he plays in, his usage rate is up to like a 90%, whether he's passing the ball or whether the stupid offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, just wants him to run quarterback power all game. And he might not be the passer of Mahomes, but there's no doubt about it. He is the most dynamic dual threat quarterback since Michael Vick, and it's not even close. You talk about Cam Newton, it's not even close. He is so dynamic. Does he deserve passer money? No, but in this system where Baltimore wants to use him, like Mike Shanahan used RG3, and guess what? When RG3 didn't get his money, guess what happened? His career went down the drain to one injury. Lamar just wants to make sure he's set up for life. He wants to get paid because just like at a real job, you're over there working a $40 an hour job for $20 an hour. That's not right, because you're risking your life, your well-being, your health, your future, your retirement plans, your family's well-being, your family's wealth for an organization who, let's be frank, don't give a fuck about you. So is Lamar Jackson in the right? I absolutely agree, because if you go back to look at it again, the Baltimore Ravens do not spend money on offense. They could have got DeAndre Hopkins. They could have signed Odell Beckham. They could have did all this. They could have got Adam Thielen. You know who they picked up? Nelson Aguilar, the guy who can't catch a cold with a damn butt-ass naked in a 20-degree pool. He can't catch a cold. So you're telling me Ozzie Newsome does not want to spend no money for Lamar Jackson, give him no receivers whatsoever, an injury-prone running back, and all he has is Mark Andrews, and you think this guy's set up to succeed like Joe Burrow, who has 3 receivers who would be a number 1 on Baltimore? That's an absolute fucking joke. Do I think Lamar's making a mistake being an agent? Yes. He don't know what it's very rare for NFL players to be their own agents. And the only ones I've ever seen had been Richard Sherman. But guess what? Richard Sherman was a 4-year graduate from Stanford, one of the smart schools, an Ivy League school at this point. So he knows his shit. So yeah, Lamar, I'm not saying he's dumb, but he's getting done wrong by the organization because he doesn't have an agent. And I'm not saying Lamar needs to go get paid the highest amount possible, but when it's the contract negotiations are such up and down, because you got like guys like Mahomes and Allen who they're not trying to set the bar high. They took less money so the teams can build around them, which is cool. But Ozzie Newsome's going to look like, well, they didn't get that, so why should you? Which is a fair point. But you know what Lamar's point is? The motherfucking Giants just paid Daniel fucking Jones, who can't even throw for 3,000 yards, $45 million. Like the fucking Saints just paid Derek Carr a stupid amount of money, who got sent the fuck out of Vegas. Why the hell should Lamar make more than them? You can't sit there and tell me that you would take Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo or any 20 other quarterbacks over Lamar Jackson right now. I could name 5 I would take over Lamar, and that's Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and honestly, it stops kind of right about there. I think and Justin Herbert, I believe he's top 5 in the NFL. Do I think there's a big drop-off? Of course. I think it's a big drop-off from Mahomes to Burrow. And then I think it's a big drop-off to Burrow and Allen to Herbert. But still, I think he is top 5 and he deserves his money. And the fact that the Ravens want to fuck around and play is, you're going to lose this man, and you rightfully deserve to lose this man because he has done nothing. And you want to know what something? When Lamar Jackson's on the field, that's a 12-win Ravens team. When he's not on the field, that might be a 7-win Ravens team. He is the reason they win. He is the reason for their offense scoring touchdowns. It damn sure isn't. What's the guy, the running back that stays hurt, ain't even played? J.K. Dobbins. It ain't because of him. It ain't because of Rashad Bateman, that number 3 receiver that's playing the number 1. It ain't because of that offensive line. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's simply Lamar Jackson. And I believe there's 3 teams in the hunt that I would say for Lamar Jackson right now who would be willing to pay him, but it's about what can the Ravens get back at also, because it's a This is the thing. This is a trade, not a free agency. So he can't just sign lily dodly here and there. He's got to be traded. So the Ravens have to be compensated heavily, especially when you got the fucking Panthers going out and giving up a fucking Brinks truck for the number 1 pick, just 7 spots. So if that number 1 pick with an unproven quarterback prospect is worth that much, imagine how much Lamar's worth in the Ravens' eyes. And the only teams I can think of are, I think, Miami. I think they can give up 2 first-round picks and Tua Tagovailoa. That means Baltimore has a quarterback and Baltimore has multiple first-round picks. That's a good fit. I would say Washington, but Washington don't have a quarterback or a good first-round pick. Baltimore wants they want a top 10 pick to get a quarterback. The Power 5 quarterbacks, Levis Richardson, CJ Stroud, etc. Bryce Young, they want a top 10 pick so they can draft one or be traded one. You're not going to trade Sam Howell to Miami or to Baltimore. Baltimore ain't going to want him. No. So I wouldn't say Washington. Here's the number 1 I'd say, the Indianapolis Colts. Because the Colts can trade the number 4 overall pick. The Ravens can draft Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, whoever they prefer, and still get their franchise quarterback, still get another pick next year, and possibly get a receiver in Michael Pittman. And the Colts can have their guy. And the reason I say that's also a good fit, the Colts head coach was Philadelphia's offensive coordinator who turned Jalen Hurts into a scrambler archetype quarterback into a great passer. He could do Lamar like that. And then he goes to the Colts. If you could go out and get another first-round pick and get a receiver, you're set up for Lamar Jackson. They got the money. You got the trade draft capital. I don't understand why you can't do it. And I tell you another funny team that might do it, and it would make every one of us in here laugh like hell and piss somebody off. And that's the New York Jets. All this talk about Aaron Rodgers. What if they just say, you know what? Fuck it. We're tired of waiting on your old ass in the dark. We're just going to get Lamar Jackson. Then you're either going to have to go to Green Bay or retire. Wouldn't that be the straw that breaks the camel's back for Aaron Rodgers? But I don't see him going to the Jets.
And that's the thing is, from what's being reported, is that they're not waiting on Aaron Rodgers. They're waiting on Green Bay to give. Yeah. They're waiting on Green Bay and New York to come up with the conditions. They're waiting on the compensation for giving Aaron Rodgers up. And you got to think, Green Bay wants multiple picks. They want multiple first-round picks.
Yeah, they're at a stalemate with that because of the fact that when Brett Favre was traded to the Jets, they got only a 3rd-round pick out of that trade. They're looking at this like, bro, Aaron Rodgers was about to retire. Why the fuck are we going to give you next year's first-round pick? And the guy might not even play next year. So they're at a stalemate with that. So they might just say, fuck it, let's go get Lamar. We're tired of this. We're tired of waiting on the organization. We know the Ravens are ready to pull the trigger. We're ready to pull the trigger. Let's do it.
That would be
Rodgers. You think Aaron Rodgers is sensitive over a quarterback who's never played a snap for Green Bay and Jordan Love? Wait till see how sensitive he gets over a damn Lamar Jackson MVP that the Jets would rather prefer a 26-year-old prime player than to choose Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it would happen, but boy, would that be funny. I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts on that one.
I would have to agree with the Colts because it's the better fit for him, especially with Philadelphia's recently departed offensive coordinator going to be their head coach now. And if they can get Jackson as their quarterback, like he is going to be the reason why this team at least has some form of hope, because when he's healthy, he's a freakish athlete. He can throw the ball when he's healthy. He can especially run the ball more than anything. He's a dual threat and all of that. But, dude, I'm honestly hoping for more chaos. And I hope that the New York Jets say, screw you, Mr. Rodgers. We're signing a prime player, not you. I
doubt that would happen, but, it sounds good when you discuss it. But, no, like I said, man, it's just Lamar is a running quarterback. We know that. We've seen the lifespan of running quarterbacks are just about as long as running backs. It's not like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers playing till they're 40 years old. How long did Cam Newton last? He before he tore up his whole body. He literally lasted like 6 good years. That's horrible. Like, you need to get your money while you can because you're going to end up like Cam Newton, crying, like hurt and beat up, and you ain't got no more juice left. Same with Michael Vick. I mean, his were obviously different situations, unfortunately, but I mean, I digress. It's just Lamar needs to be compensated because he puts his body at more of a risk, and he is more of an offensive usage wherever he goes. I mean,
Look at Russell Wilson.
I know we can talk about his passing abilities all you want, and I'm fine with that. I'm not the one to sit there and criticize him or praise him. The reason why, you can't criticize a guy's passing when he's got a bunch of bums at receiver and a good tight end like that. That's crazy. And we know he's not Mahomes, so he ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna make it look like Mahomes. But let's just put it like this. I'm not saying he's good as him, but what would Joe Burrow do in the Ravens offense? Let me just ask you that for a minute. Will he be the Joe Shiesty that he is in Cincinnati, or no?
No.
He's got 3 all-pro players at the skill position. The Ravens have 1, and that's Mark Andrews, literally. And he is not even a Travis Kelce by any means. Good God, he's not on the level of a Travis Kelce or even George Kittle. He's that 3rd-tier tight end, and he's still good, but would Joe Burrow do that in that system? Would Josh Allen do that in the system?
No.
Would you if you put Lamar Jackson on the Bills, would him and Stephon Diggs light it up? That's questions. I mean, it's a bunch of what ifs, but you can't just sit there and criticize his passing abilities because of the organization's dysfunction of getting the guy a capable number 1 receiver. I mean, that's horrible. I'd like to see the Ravens traded for DeAndre Hopkins, but instead they signed that piece of crap Nelson Aguilar, who can't catch a damn football if he was standing right in front of it.
I mean, the Baltimore Ravens are just, their regular season mishaps are just like their offseason mishaps. Dysfunctional, delusional, and downright stupid. Because clearly, I mean, Kev, all the great quarterbacks, and Ezra, you could attest to this too, all the great quarterbacks that have came and gone, in Chicago, out of Chicago. And obviously, and Kev, with the Niners, with Alex Smith, and, you have to have caliber players around these quarterbacks. Jay Cutler had Hester, and he had who was the running back? Running back, Matt, what's his name?
Where at?
Chicago. He was the former. He was with.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking
Jay
about
Cutler all those years.
You're talking about I know you're talking about the running back. Can't place my.
I can't think his name, but you get what I'm saying. But you have to have talent around these players. You can't just have some number 3 or number 4, as your number 1. You have to have caliber talent at the skill position.
Matt Forte.
Hey, may I just say also about Jay Cutler real quick? Jay Cutler has gone back, is doing the darkness retreat like Aaron Rodgers now, but that's only because he went to the supermarket, he went to throw a loaf of bread into his cart and got picked off by another shopper.
He's not making any headlines in the media. Oh, I'm retreating into darkness mode because I clearly throw picks in the grocery store.
Well, he's been too busy, whether it's making headlines with his ex, Kristen Cavallari, or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Anyways, you were saying, yeah, I agree with you.
Just the simple fact that, do you not think that Harbaugh would just get his head out of his backside and realize that Jackson maybe wants something to be with this team? He wants somebody to throw to. He wants somebody to hand the ball off to, not some 3rd-string running back that thinks that, oh, I'm the number 1 running back. No, that's not the way this works. You have to put in the reps to get to the number 1 spot on that team at that skill position. And obviously Jackson has had enough. And honestly, I don't blame him. He knows what he's worth when he's healthy because he was an MVP in 2019. The league MVP in 19. Go ahead.
Let me say something real quick. I do for him not to have an agent, I think he's making the right decision, whether he wants to be traded or really he's bluffing, because we've seen all the wide receivers off the market last year go through the same scenario and got what they want or got traded in the end. Deebo Samuel went through the same scenario in San Francisco. Contracts were they were at a stalemate, and he said, "You know what? I want out then." And he didn't mean he was bluffing. He didn't really want out, but it's a tactic that agents use to try to get general managers to bulge and end up going up on that salary to say, "You know what? We'll give you what you want." And it worked. A.J. Brown done the same thing, except the only difference is they didn't bulge and they traded him to the eventual NFC champion Eagles. So it's just, I mean, I think he's making the right decision, and he's doing a smart job to not have an agent because he's making some shit shake. That's what's going to happen. He's either going to get traded or he's going to get his money, either or.
And you know what? He's also going to single-handedly change this, Kev, because he is going to he's one of the first few quarterbacks that I can remember that is his own agent. He's calling his own numbers. He's calling his own shots. He knows what he's worth.
Yeah, but also, and this is like I said, the guy, yes, he's going out there making his own decisions, but also you got to think too, if you're unskilled and don't know how to do this, I mean, you can go out there and throw out whatever numbers you want, but you got an agent is there for a reason. He's going to broker those decisions. He's going to do what's best for you based on what you do. And mind you, yes, Lamar, does he deserve the big money? Like I said, I don't think so, but after what Kevin said, I do agree. Yes, he does deserve a good.
The only reason why I'm a little hesitant with the top dollar money is because, again, what we talked about, his playoff failures that he's had in the past. Number 1 seed gets bounced out of the AFC playoffs in the first round, or the second round, against the Tennessee Titans. They ran him off the field. I mean, they made him look like a third string quarterback.
But here's the thing, Stephen. Here's the big but. Playoff football, wide receivers matter. We watched the Tennessee Titans hold number 1 seed last year or 2 years ago and get ran off the field by Cincinnati because they had no competent wide receivers.
True.
And it's the same thing they did to Baltimore the year prior. Baltimore had no wide receivers whatsoever, and it showed. And that's what happens in NFL football. You're in January football, your holes on your team are exposed. And if they're too big to overcome and put a patch on to fix it, you're going to get beat. And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, yes,
that is true.
He's had his failures, but if we talk about failures, you can't go without mentioning Josh Allen, for crying out loud. As good as he is, why ain't we putting him on the same criteria? We watched the guy that his team, it's always an excuse for him. And I love Allen, don't get me wrong, but he lost to Kansas City in 13 seconds. He turned around and almost fumbled the bag to Miami in the wild card round last year and eventually got smoked by Cincinnati anyway. So he ain't had much playoff success. I'm just saying it's always a different narrative when it comes to who certain the media wants to point out. But yes, he's taking it, like Ezra said, he's taking a big chance with his own agent, being his own agent, because that agent is like a lawyer in the courtroom, like and the GMs are like the judges. They're going to try to throw loopholes at you and fuck you out of money and this and that. And your agent's there to basically be your advisor, and you're whispering in your ear saying, "No, don't do that. Wait to do this and ask for this and do such and such." That's what agents are for. They get you your money. They see through these organizations' bullshit, and they call it out where you either get your money or you get traded and then get your money. So he is taking a bet on himself, but he's doing a pretty decent job so far.
Exactly.
Now let's get into some more. We got some more NFL news that we got to get into. Some other highlights starting from this past week since the show ended Ezekiel Elliott has announced that he has narrowed down his wish list of teams that he would like to play for: the Eagles, the Jets, and the Bengals.
Oh,
I don't think neither three of them need a starting center, so there's that.
Speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, one of their most effective players, Tony Pollard, has signed his franchise tag. He's due $10.091 million this year. Now they have until July 17th to negotiate a long-term deal.
I anticipate they will. That Zeke is cut. I anticipate they get it done. But it is Jerry Jones we're talking about. So
To me, Tony Pollard is great because not only he's a dual threat. He can play running back and he can catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty effective last season with Dallas. When Dak was on his game, Tony Pollard was a big target, and he was great as both a running back and as a wide receiver out there in the field. So, the Eagles have signed former Cowboys running back, keep on the Cowboys team, DeMarco Murray.
Wow.
Oh wait, that's what he said. Once signed that. Aaron Rodgers would be a lure to the Jets. Joe Burrow was at Ohio State in 2015 when Ezekiel Elliott was there. Oh, good. Let's see what else we can get into. Here we go. Free agent kicker Eddie Pinheiro is re-signing a 2-year deal with the Panthers.
Hopefully he doesn't get spooked by the ghost of the of domes. How do you miss a kick with no wind?
oh boy.
The Denver rollback Walmart shoppers Broncos has signed former Saints running back Tony Jones, who will reunite with head coach Sean Payton.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Here we go. Eagles are giving all-pro right tackle Lane Johnson a 1-year, $33.345 million contract extension, including $30 million of that money guaranteed. He's now under contract through 2026. Johnson hasn't surrendered a sack in the past 2 seasons, even playing last postseason with a torn adductor.
Well, I wouldn't give up a sack either if he got jammed false starts every damn snap, every damn game. Watch the tape. He false starts. It's about a half a second false start. But good God Almighty, it's every single play. He's not that damn smart at timing the snap count up. Who does he think he is? The offensive Troy Polamalu timing the snap count? Whatever. You know what? Carry on. We dissected enough of the Eagles defense. We let them have it.
Yes. So did the NBA trade. So did the NBA trade deadline. They dissected him like fuck. They dissected him like a frog in the middle of a science class. Jesus. You mentioned Nelson Aguilar signed a 1-year, $3.25 million deal with including incentives. Let's see.
Well, with the Nelson Aguilar, I mean, it all makes sense now. Lamar Jackson seen that and he hit the SpongeBob meme and said, "All right, I'm gonna head out now. Y'all sign this ball. I'm gone. I'm done."
Yeah. Wide receiver Marquez Callaway has signed with the Broncos. Another former Saint heading to go back to Sean Payton.
Oh my God, who's he gonna bring back next? Drew Brees? That's a quarterback coach.
Is he going to bring back Marcus Colston to be a receivers coach?
Yeah.
Is he going to bring back Devin Henderson to be another receivers coach, or is he going to bring back Jimmy Graham? Come on.
Or he can bring back the best defensive coordinator of all time, Greg Williams.
Oh, for the love of Christ, not that guy
scandal. Again. Bountygate.
Yeah, and then we'll bring back Jonathan Vilma to be the freaking linebackers coach.
Oh my God!
Just bring the whole team back. You know
what? I heard they're going to hire Tom Brady's ball boy from New England as well.
Deflate balls. Hey, ball boy, get to your job of deflating them.
You know how you have NCIS Los Angeles?
Yep.
It's CSI Miami. You got Deflategate New Orleans.
Yep.
These are their stories. Ton ton. But 49ers, of course, signed kicker Zane Gonzalez from the Carolina Panthers in exchange for a conditional swap of late round picks in the 2025 draft. Of course, he must pass the physical in order for the trade to be executed.
We're turning into the San Francisco Panthers with all these fucking Panthers acquisitions. Sam Darnold, not a damn kicker. What is Christian McCaffrey telling to John Lynch? Hey, bring them in. I promise I can turn them into something good. Yeah.
Oh,
It is what it is.
yep.
Right here, big news coming out of here. Bobby Wagner is returning to Seattle. Bobby Wagner, of course, part of the original Legion of Boom, will be coming back on a 1-year, $7 million deal.
Coming back home.
With all due respect to B-Wags and a Hall of Fame career, he's just washed up at this point. He's done. He's just there to get the experience and help the young guys. He's not there for Pro Bowl play because he didn't.
I'm honestly surprised he didn't go to the Cardinals to be going back to the retirement home for Arizona.
I do thought it was pretty irony because they shared a tweet from a year ago where Cooper Kupp, he was ecstatic to get Bobby Wagner on the Rams. And he mentioned the tweet. He said, yay, I don't have to play against B-Wags no more. And then a year later, he shared the same tweet and said, well, shit, back to square one with B-Wags.
Hey, and you know what? Here's a funny thing. You mentioned about the Jets possibly going for Lamar Jackson. Well,
Yes.
listen to this. Jets GM Joe Douglas says there's no rush on an Aaron Rodgers trade, and Lamar Jackson is not an option.
Oh,
Oh,
what the hell? Well, Aaron Rodgers.
Bengals signed free agent cornerback Sidney Jones IV to a 1-year deal.
Hey, big money.
Yeah. Well, listen to this. This happened about 8 hours ago. The Josh Harris Mitchell Rails Group, which now includes Magic Johnson, officially has submitted a fully financed bid that meets Dan Snyder's $6 billion asking price for the Washington Commanders.
ooh.
If accepted, this deal would break the previous record for a franchise set last August, when, of course, the group led by Walmart heir Rob Walton bought the Denver Broncos for $4.65 billion.
And we all see how that turned out after they became the rollback donkeys.
Hey, what'd you expect? Hey, come on, you can't fault them. They get 20% off at all Sam's Club and Walmart locations.
Yes.
Yeah. Russell Wilson better stay out of Walmart and get in the practice facility then.
That's right.
Well, come on, everything. Come on, he's got to get those. He's got to get his stuff for like some price, 88 cents. Bucks free agent Scotty Miller is staying in the NFC South, reaching an agreement on a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. And that's pretty much about it. Major. The Chargers and Justin Herbert have opened contract negotiations. So there you go on that.
There's that. Oh, one more thing, Ezra. I just seen about a couple hours ago that was on the news or for the football NFL. The NFL finally passed their rules for this upcoming season. And guess what? Everybody's controversial roughing the passer review call. They wanted that changed. No, negative. You know what the compensation is though? We'll now let players wear number 0 in football. I said, what? No personal foul can be reviewable. No roughing the passers reviewable, but players can now wear number 0. And I find it funny because I think Aaron Rodgers should wear number 0 because that's a percentage chance he has of winning a ring anytime soon. 0. Or maybe that could be Zach Wilson's number because he's not getting no more Cougars no more. 0. I said, how many moms you slept with lately? 0. Because he's not the starting quarterback of the New York Jets.
That's how many championships. You know what? I think that should be on Dak Prescott's jersey. 0, because he's getting 0 championships.
Yeah, that should be on Jerry Jones's desk. No. But on a serious note, guys, they did come out and say Calvin Ridley is the first player to announce he's changing to number 0 for the Jacksonville Jaguars next season.
Oh, good. That means there'll be a 0% chance of him freaking gambling again.
That's the amount of money he's hoping he loses next season on gambling. 0. 0.
We got here. The NFL has expanded its rule against the misuse of a helmet.
Oh my God! That means you can't whack people upside the head, Miles Garrett.
Yeah. It says not only will you be penalized for
upside your head
if you lower your head and make forcible contact against the helmet, but now a player will also be penalized if he uses any part of his helmet or face mask to butt or make forcible contact to an opponent's head or neck area.
See,
if the foul is committed, it'll be an automatic first down, and the player could be disqualified.
Oh,
damn! Hey, I know this sounds dark, but damn, there's more of a penalty for forcibly using your helmet than Deshaun Watson got for forcibly using. Never mind. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there.
I don't know what's more disturbing. The comment you just made or the police's every breath you take. I don't know if those were creepy. Was Deshaun Watson at a massage parlor or Sting singing "Can't You See You Belong to Me"? Every breath you take, I'll be watching you. God help us.
Wow.
But that's pretty much it on the NFL news. Let's circumvent this shit and let's get into the NBA. That's we definitely got to get into, and we're getting into the pit. We're getting towards the very end of the season here. We're not that far off. News came out today that tomorrow KD will be back.
Hooray!
And you know what a hilarious thing is? This is gonna make you laugh. The Nets have shut down Ben Simmons for the rest of the season.
The rest of the season, they should shut him down for the rest of his contract. Jesus Christ, son. Nobody wants to trade him. Just cut him. Jesus.
We need somebody to make the 12-man roster for tonight. I got it. No, Ben. Sit down. Next.
All right, real
no,
quick.
Ben, I would rather have that stuffed animal over there on my roster than you. But good try anyway, buddy.
Probably got better offense. Let's see. Right now, before we get into more news of the games, currently, the Wizards are beating the Celtics right now, 82-60.
Jesus! What the hell?
Come on, man.
Atlanta is beating Cleveland 47-34 in the second. Toronto is beating Miami 51-45 in the second. Grizzlies are beating the Magic 18-12. The Thunder is leading by 1 point, 14-13 near the end of the first. And then later on tonight, we got Golden State taking on the Pelicans. So that's going to 82-61. What the hell, Boston?
I'm officially worried about this.
Your cousin from Boston.
Yeah, I'm officially worried about the Celtics, man. I look at that Eastern Conference, and I hate to say it, but I see Philly starting to steamroll. Joel Embiid is probably most likely the MVP this year, and they are coming in blazing hot. And so is the Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. I don't like his Celtics' chances right now, not at all.
Yeah.
Milwaukee by far is the best team in the East.
Oh yeah, come on.
I don't know, Steven. I might have to go with Philly right now at this point because Joel is dropping he's dropping a 40-piece nugget with extra sauces on the defenses now. I mean, he's out there dropping them like it's nothing. And Harden actually lost a little weight, and he looks like he's back in game shape. That looks like a good team, man.
What do you mean? He doesn't look like the James Harden on Madden that you're rebuilding with the Broncos?
No, not the one in the strip club. He looks like the Harden back in 2019 when he was actually good. But yeah, they would look like they would give Giannis and the Bucks a fight. I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah, back when they actually feared the beard. Now they just tell him to wash the beard. But anyways, yeah, the Bucks, Celtics, 76ers, and Cavs in the Eastern Conference have all clinched playoff berths. The Bucks right now have a 2-game lead over the Celtics. Anyways, like it matters now.
Fixing to be 3.
Yeah, fixing to be 3. 76ers are only 3 games behind the Celtics. The Cavs are only a game and a half back behind Boston, or being back behind Philly. And it's
And
still
Philadelphia plays Dallas tomorrow.
Yep, and then in the 5 and 6 slots, you have Brooklyn, who is only who is 14 games back out of first, and then the Knicks, who are 11 and a half games out of first. And then in the area, you've still got the Heat, Hawks, Raptors, and Bulls, all still hanging in there.
But those final 2 playoff spots in the East could go to any of those teams.
Yeah, the Bulls are only 2 games out. 2 games, or actually 3 games ahead of the Washington Wizards, which would be now 2 after this if that's what happens. The Nuggets have clinched the Southwest Division, and the Grizz have clinched the Southwest Division. Still, then you got the Kings, Suns, Clippers, and T-Wolves. Golden State right now sitting at the number 7 position. Only a half game in front of the New Orleans Pelicans, which that's going to be an interesting matchup tonight for that. And then the Lakers, believe it or not, number 9. And then 10 is OKC with the Mavericks all the way back at 11.
That team has completely changed. Holy smokes.
I don't want to say, and then of course he's the Rockets dead last at a 6-game losing streak, but whatever.
Oh my God.
Awful.
I will say this, I thought was pretty
Detroit
interesting.
Pistons are also on a 6-game losing streak.
Oh my God. But anyway, I want to speak about this because it's funny as hell. How about shout out to your team, Ezra, the Chicago Bulls, because the Los Angeles Lakers, they started winning. They started rolling. And then here comes LeBron James. He comes back and Patrick Beverly gives him the work and gives him a 2-piece in his face and beats the Los Angeles Lakers, while Patrick Beverly said earlier in the season when he got traded to the Bulls, he said, I want to end the Lakers season. Well, you know what? Patrick Beverly just beat the Lakers. They play again tomorrow night in LA in a back-to-back, or in Chicago back-to-back. If they beat the Lakers again, they could possibly knock the Lakers out of the playoffs, literally. And how sweet would that be for Patrick Beverly? Not everybody's most favorite player, but the memes he was putting up after beating the Lakers with LeBron James on the toilet paper commercial in his meme was absolutely gold. He talked about how LeBron cries and this and that. And man, it was funny watching Patrick Beverly score on LeBron and give him the "he's too little" phrase while LeBron runs back on the court. I love it. Love a good Lakers ass whooping. Oh, by the way, Anthony Davis out with an injury also during that game. Sprained his finger. I guess he tried to stick his middle finger up at the ref and sprained it, but he sprained his finger nonetheless.
Oh my God, that dude is literally made of fine glass.
Yeah, he said he wanted one day he wanted his jersey and stuff to be hung in the Lakers Raptors beside Kobe Bean Bryant. And you know what? It will be hung up there. It's going to be a crutch and a damn outside street shirt on, because that's what Anthony Davis is known for. Walking on crutches with a damn street shirt on. So yes, that will get hung in the Raptors.
Dude, Anthony Davis is like a priceless French vase at a fucking museum. One little touch and it breaks. He is like I said, he is the Buzz Lightyear of the NBA. He drops to the floor and he busts his arm. A whole time of life work wasted.
Oh my God.
He's like Buzz Lightyear when he sits at the tea party after he loses his arm after thinking he can fly.
Yeah, all right.
Oh my God. I'm just having flat. I can just picture a gif of Anthony Davis just trying to do a dunk, jump into the rim, and then he gets injured. And
he barely wakes out of bed. He injures himself. He's like John Moxley. He wakes out and he stretches his arms and he starts bleeding. But anyways, that's a whole different story.
Anthony Davis starts stretching. He injures his quads. He starts stretching. He injures his arm. He steps the wrong way. He injures his ankle.
And you know what? Before we talk about the Mavs and Warriors game, I'd like to say how impressed I am in the NBA for this play-in tournament that they created, because now basketball in March and April has just got very interesting. And I agree with Stephen A. Smith. He said, remember back in the day when it was just the top 8 seed, it was a dead point of basketball. Like, you just, they're fighting for the 8 spot. Okay, who cares? Nowadays, it's any 6 or 7, 8, 9, and 10 could be anywhere in that playoff position and come the play-in tournament, which is getting things very interesting. Then you look at the 5th seed through the 12th seed are all separated by like no more than 2 games. So like if Golden State wins 2 games and Phoenix lose, Golden State jumps to the 4th seed, or Minnesota wins, and it's so many scenarios. And I like to give a shout out. That's awesome of Adam Silver coming up with that organize that tournament, because it brings out competition. It is a game 7 in the play-in. This is a game 7. And they asked the question on ESPN, which I thought was interesting. What team has to avoid the play-in before that they're scared of the play-in? And I got to say, it's the Clippers, because they've had the worst luck in the last 2 years with that play-in tournament. They go out and get put out by the Timberwolves last year in the play-in tournament, then get put out again by the Pelicans the next night. And then the year before, they get put out again. They just don't have the best of luck.
And you know
if
what?
You're talking about the play-in, Golden State, to me, shouldn't really have to be worried as long as they get that home court for that first play-in, if they have to do the play-in. Because let's face it, this Golden State team at home looks like the best team in the West at home. Then they go on the road and look like the Houston Rockets, for crying out loud. So it's not a happy medium between the Warriors. But I'd like to jump into that as well. We talk about the Warriors on the road. Well, they picked up a road win at the Dallas Mavericks last week. And now, if anybody watched the game, they watched a very odd sequence in the third quarter about where the ball went out. The ref, if you look at the replay, the ref called the ball out said it was Golden State ball, 14 to shoot. Okay, timeout Mavs. Apparently, the PA announcer was on shrooms that Aaron Rodgers was on, because he goes out and has the audacity to say Mavs ball. So then the Dallas Mavericks over there look like a damn blonde chick in a damn strip club in the morning, don't know what the hell's going on. And then all of a sudden, the Warriors inbound the ball, get a free layup with nobody at the other end, cost 2 points. The Mavericks, by the way, lost the game by 2 points. But let's be real here. That one play, Mark Cuban, with all due respect, I love him as an owner. He's a great guy, loves his team. He's all for his team. I give him that. Let's be real. That one little measly basket in the third quarter did not hurt your team. That's the essential same as calling a bullshit foul call and the guy got 2 free throws. It happens every game. That basket did not cost you that game. What cost you that game is the fact that your trash defense could not slow down Steph Curry in the last second of the game, last 20 seconds of the game. Steph Curry went around the pick. He got a wide open, and when I say wide open, you could have drove a fucking Greyhound bus in the paint. Wide open layup with 20 seconds left to go up by 5. And I said, what? And it was so funny because the lane was clearer than the fucking streets of Broadway on a Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Nobody in the lane. Steph Curry wide open layup. It's your defense and the inability to stop Steph Curry is why you lost that damn ball game. Because if you want to be honest, Luka Doncic, with all due respect, he's one of the greatest in the game. But this is why he gets compared to LeBron. He cries every play. Something don't go his way. He's looking at the ref. Where's the call? Where's the call? Shut up and play ball, dude. You're not going to get calls all the time. I'm sorry. It just don't happen. He looks for it every play. And then after the missed layup, that was not a foul. He looks at the ref and gives him the money signal saying that, oh, y'all bet on this game. That's a technical foul. The refs didn't call it. They let it slide because that would have been Luka's 16th technical, resulting in a 1-game suspension. So they were very lenient not to call a technical because they should have teed his ass up, but they didn't. The Mavericks are just imploding right now. And I told you, I was worried about this. Luka and Kyrie are not operating under the same function because they're not that good together. They both have to have the ball, and neither one of them, and the other one's ineffective. So if
And the other one
got
can't
the
even
ball
stay
balling,
healthy.
the other one's completely ineffective at doing anything. Can't play no defense. Lord forbid, Luka plays better. I think James Harden plays better defense than Luka. Jesus Christ. I watched this guy get crossed up, dunked on, don't even try, gives no effort. It's just absolutely insane.
Where's this Mavericks team, Kevin? You know this. Where's this Mavericks team from last year when they took the Suns out to the woodshed and took them out? I mean, this is not the same Maverick team that, that took the Suns out of the second round. That
Not
made
at
it
all.
to the Western Conference Finals. This is not the same Mavericks team. Wait, because they traded away some of their best acquisitions that were on that team last year. Spencer Dinwiddie, gone.
For a 1-year rental, because Kyrie hits the market after the season. He could say, fuck you, Dallas. I'm not re-signing. I'm testing free agency. And then he's
watch
gone.
where he goes. Los Angeles. There you go.
Yep.
You
He's
lose
going to LA.
everybody just for one player's pleasure of misery. And I feel bad for Luka to a certain degree because the dude's a hell of a talent. But at the same time, quit complaining. Like you said, you're not going to get all the calls in the world. Do all the great players get all the calls? No. They just keep
He must
playing
have
through the
grew up
whistle.
watching James Harden and LeBron James show their ass because he
30
acts so much
points.
like both of them. It's insane. He looks like if LeBron and Harden had a white baby, it'd be Luka Doncic because he acts just like both of them to some degree. He plays just like both of them with the whistle and crying and always has to have the ball, this and that. It's a shame.
30 points, 17 assists, and he still can't get the job done. Go ahead.
No, still can't. And it's absolutely crazy because when you look at the Nuggets, Jokic is out there getting a triple-double, and the team is 29-1 when he gets a triple-double. So what's the difference? He's not acting crazy like that. Jokic is just doing his part, playing his game, taking over the game, and dominating the game. So that's why the Nuggets are first in the West. But I want to say one thing real quick, and I think it's crazy. I know everybody knows that Andrew Wiggins of the Warriors has missed the last 20-something games due to a personal matter. It's not my business. It's nobody's business. It's its own personal business that's going on. The fact that you have these idiots on social media running their mouth and hitting the rumor mill, making some exotic, stupid rumor up that was obviously called out to be fake about, Andrew Wiggins missed because Andrew Wiggins' girlfriend cheated on him with his best friend, and the kid is not even Andrew Wiggins. That's the dumbest rumor I've ever heard. And to be honest, he owes none of you bums on Twitter nothing. He is an NBA champion, first-team defensive player. He owes you nothing. That's the essential of me going to my job, explaining with my boss in private, I need to take a personal leave of absence because of this. That's it. I don't have to tell nobody, none of my coworkers. I don't have to tell nobody on the street, Billy down the road. I don't have to tell nobody nothing. I just have to disclose that with my own boss. And that's what Andrew Wiggins did. So people need to leave his business alone. Let the guy, it could be something horrible that we don't know. And to assume something so stupid it's a catastrophe, man. But I'm just saying, best wishes to Andrew Wiggins, and we definitely, Dub Nation, we definitely miss him, miss his play, but just like Steph Curry says, family first over basketball. But
exactly.
Andrew Wiggins, these people spreading stupid rumors are absolute idiots. I've never seen something. It's not their business. The guy has a personal problem going on. He's got something personal going on. It's nobody's business to speculate, but I'm proud of the Golden State Warriors for a team that accidentally leaked the Jordan Poole Draymond fight. They have been very honorable and respectful when it came to this, and they have did a great job keeping this in-house and not letting not a single thing get leaked to the public. What a great organization.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see here. Other quick news in the NBA world, real quick. Let's see. Basically, in a playoff scenario, the Kings can basically clinch on their day off. How they do that is if Golden State loses. So Golden State loses tonight. Sacramento will get a playoff spot. Also, if Cleveland loses, Milwaukee clinches the division title.
Oh,
Tonight.
Interesting.
So, a couple of quick little scenarios there. Let's see. Joel Embiid is sat out with right calf tightness the other night, so hopefully he'll be back relatively pretty soon for them.
Real quick, Ezra. Great call by William here in the chat that the Bengals signed Orlando Brown.
Okay.
That's a great signing by Cincinnati to beef up their offensive line.
Yep. Quick update. The Wizards are up 99-78 over Boston at the end of the third quarter.
God, that is just terrible. I mean, to be losing to that team.
So,
what can you do?
Yep. What can you do? What can you do besides, suck? But we'll see. Anything's possible. Let's see. Outside of that, I really don't have anything else. We know that MLB baseball is going to be coming up soon, and already there's some injuries going on. Joey Votto for the Cincinnati Reds announced he'll be missing the start of the season as he continues to work back from a shoulder injury. Juan Soto and Joe Musgrove, who are they're expected to be ready for opening day. Juan Soto with a mild left oblique strain, and Joe Musgrove with a fractured big toe. Seiya Suzuki for the Chicago Cubs. He is scheduled to play 3 innings coming up. He's going to end up being on the injured list for the Cubs at the beginning of the season, but could be back in time for April due to a moderate strain on his left oblique.
Ooh, interesting.
Yep. Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. He threw 30 pitches in the bullpen and said he felt comfortable. Hopefully he'll be back soon after dealing with a mild left elbow strain. Hunter Brown for the Astros. He's dealing with lower back tightness. Said he could be slotted in back at the end of the Astros rotation to start the season. And Yohan Makata from the White Sox is dealing with lower back stiffness, and he is currently day-to-day. And Bryce Harper right now says that he will not open the season on a 60-day DL. So if the Phillies placed Harper on a 60-day IL to start the season, he would not be activated until May 29th at the earliest. Also bad news for Phillies fans. Rice Hoskins, who went down with the knee injury attempting to field a ground ball on Thursday of last week, it is found out that he has a torn ACL and will require reconstructive surgery after being carted off the field. So his season is pretty much over.
That sucks.
So that's pretty much it on real big MLB news. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I mean, there are some significant games happening to start the season this Thursday. I mean, you got the Yankees and the Giants. You also got the Nationals and the Braves. That should be a good game to kick off their season. Red Sox and Orioles.
Yep.
You got the Cubs taking on the Brewers. That should be a good game. You got the Phillies taking on the Rangers. That should be a good game. And let's see, you have the defending World Series, you got the Blue Jays taking on the Cardinals. The Padres taking on the Rockies.
Brewers and the Cubs.
Yep. Mets and the Marlins. White Sox take on the Astros.
Rematch of the 2005 World Series Championship.
Oh, nice.
I know that game very well. I watched that whole series live, man. I watched the whole
Oh,
series.
man, that's a hell of a game to kick off the 2023 season for the Astros and the White Sox.
Yep, Dylan Cease will face off with Kramer Valdez, the starting pitchers. That should be really, really good. I cannot wait for that one. That one's gonna be awesome. You got Marcus Stroman for the Cubs, who will be starting against Corbin Burns for the Brewers. But yeah, that Giants and Yankees game, Garrett Cole is going to be starting for the Yankees, taking on Logan Webb, who's going to be starting for the Giants.
Ooh, interesting.
So there'll be some great pitching matchups coming up on opening day, which of course is this Thursday. Of course, check your local listings for when those games will be played in your market. So
yes, and looking for another huge, unpredictable season for the world of baseball. I mean, anything can happen, especially once we get towards the halfway mark into the second half and of course into the playoffs, because anything can happen. Let's see if the Astros can be the first team really since the Yankees to go back to back.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see here. This past weekend, Corey Sandhagen won a split decision bout over Marlon Vera at a UFC on Fox event, or UFC on ESPN event, shall we say now. So congratulations to Corey Sandhagen. Want to get us some quick MMA news notes. Holly Holm has re-signed a 6-fight deal with the UFC.
Good.
41 years of age, and gonna be going through some we'll be getting 6 more fights on her upcoming contract. So congrats to Holly Holm on doing that as well. Also some big news. Donald Cowboy Cerrone will be heading to the UFC Hall of Fame.
Nice.
One of the best of all time. For sure, man. The man is tied for second most in UFC, or for second most wins in UFC history at 23, tied with Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky, and the second most finishes in UFC history with Jim Miller at 16. He also has the third most bouts ever in the promotion at 38 and the most knockouts at 20.
Nice.
And these are the list of people that he's beaten. Charles Oliveira, Ben Henderson, Eddie Alvarez, Edson Barboza, Matt Brown. And he's also faced, and maybe not one, he's faced the likes of Ruthless Robbie Lawler, Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal, Justin Gaethje. He's faced a lot of great fighters. What a career, and including not only in the UFC, but in the WEC as well, World Extreme Cage Fighting, before it was bought out by the UFC. You know, you talk about a hell of you talk about a hell of a career.
And that's a hell of a list of fighters. I mean, good Lord. I mean, that is a who's who of great fighters that he has fought over his career.
Yeah, he has
unbelievable.
He has Cowboy has ended his career at a record of 36-17. He has got, like I say, he's got 10 knockouts, 17 by submission, 9 by decision, 2 no contests. Like I say, he's faced the likes win or loss. He's faced the likes of Jim Miller, Anthony Pettis, Connor, Justin Gaethje, Tony El Kukui Ferguson, Mike Perry, Yancy Medeiros, Matt Brown, like we said, Rick Story, Patrick Cote, Rafael Dos Anjos, John Medeski, Miles Jury. He's faced Evan Dunham, KJ Nunes, Melvin Gillard, Jeremy Little Hughes Stevens, Nate Diaz, Dennis Sieber. Some of these names I even forgot. Jamie Varner, Ed Ratcliffe, Razor Rob McCullough, Anthony Njokuani.
That's crazy.
He's faced some of the best that the divisions have ever seen. So congratulations to Cowboy on this huge honor. All right, and I think that about wraps it up for today. If anybody else has anything they want to discuss before we call it a day here.
Hey guys, I just got an alert on my phone. I got some breaking news from the NBA.
Oh boy.
So far, Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, Pau Gasol, Tony Parker, Becky Hammond, and Greg Popovich all elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame for this year.
Nice.
So congratulations. Especially to my boy TP and Greg Popovich. Boy,
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir. That's a great class too. Dirk Nowitzki, Dwayne Wade, D Wade, man, that's a great class.
Tony Parker, Greg Popovich, hell freaking yeah.
That's
awesome.
A great Hall of Fame class for 2023.
Yeah,
and Gasol, like that's a hell of a class. I mean, just
Becky Hammond too, who is one of the first female coach in NBA history.
Oh, and that's another thing too with Pau Gasol. He was just recently got his jersey hung in the Raptors beside Kobe Bryant, and they played a video of Kobe Bryant back in 2010 after they won the NBA championship. Looked at Pau and said, "Hey man, one day you're gonna have your jersey right beside mine." And what do you know? Right inside of LA, Pau Gasol just recently at halftime with Vanessa Bryant and the kids had his jersey retirement ceremony in LA right beside the one and only Kobe Bean Bryant. That you talk about something coming to the truth. Wow.
That is unbelievable. I mean,
it definitely I'm happy for Greg Popovich, not only because of his coach, but also the man is right from East Chicago, Indiana, baby. He's only literally a stone's throw away from me. Coming from this great area, man. Another guy like a Terry Funk who's from Hammond, just these great minds and athletes and performers or whoever it is that comes from this area. So, I'm happy that he's finally getting his just due. One of the top 3 greatest coaches in NBA history, bar none.
Popovich is hands down my favorite NBA head coach of all time. I mean, just that no prisoners attitude. I'm going to be
biased and go Phil Jackson because I'm a Bulls fan at heart, 110%. That's I'm going to go Phil.
Yeah.
But Popovich to me is number 2.
Popovich is take no prisoners attitude. He didn't give a damn if you were Tim Duncan, if you were Ginobili, or you were Brent Berry.
He also graduated from Maryville High School too. So there you go.
Yep. Popovich did not care who you were on that team. If you were the star player, you were the 15th guy on the roster. He chewed everybody out the same exact way. Each player on that team, Ginobili, Parker, Duncan, Bruce Bowen, everybody down the field, down that basketball court. He treated everybody the same.
I'll never forget back in them days during the dynasty. He used to raise hell at Danny Green. Boy, he did.
Yes.
He cussed that damn dude out every game. It was about something. And you know what? It was on the defensive end. We talked about earlier about NBA. There's no defense in the NBA no more. There was on that Greg Popovich first team. He made sure your ass was going to the bench if you didn't play defense.
I mean, good God. I mean, Kev, this is how we know each other very well. I mean, we grew up watching Dwayne Wade and watching Dirk Nowitzki and and all those great teams. Popovich coaching Tony Parker.
Decade. Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, and this comes full circle. I mean, Pau Gasol going into the Hall of Fame as a Laker. I mean, Popovich going in, Nowitzki going in, Dwayne Wade going in. I mean, this is amazing. Like just all of this talent that is going into the Basketball Hall of Fame. It all comes full circle.
Yep. All well deserved because at the end, we watched each one of these guys put the team on their back and win championships. We watched D Wade in 26 against Dirk Nowitzki. Then we watched Dirk in 2011 against a bunch of big threes. He went through the Spurs dynasty. He went through the Heat. He went through Kobe's Lakers to his championship. Then we watched Tony Parker and Greg Popovich dominate the whole decade from 2002 to 2012 and 14, and just the dynasty that they had going with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and a young Kawhi Leonard. Like that was an insane roster, by the way. They well deservedly swept the fucking Heat basically in 2014 with Kawhi
And if it
Leonard.
wasn't for Ray Allen's Jesus Shuttlesworth shot of a three, that would have been 6 NBA championships.
Yes,
by the Spurs.
That's
it's remarkable the run that they had. Near
Yes.
perfection as far as championship goes, but as far as we're concerned, a perfection of a job of coaching and players in that organization with the San Antonio Spurs. Absolutely well deserved.
Yep, just like I said, enjoy Pop today because he ain't got much longer coaching, and you never know when it's his last game he'll ever coach.
I love
in
it.
basketball.
I
Just like
absolutely
Coach
love
K
it.
from last year, Greg Popovich's time is coming about that time as well. So just enjoy it while he's still here.
I absolutely love this class, dude. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Just
this class is amazing.
absolutely down pat the best class I've seen in a long, long time. So congratulations to all the Hall of Fame inductees. We can't wait to see you guys get that honor. And that'll be coming up very, very soon. Congratulations to everybody. Outside of that, anything else you guys want to roll with?
I think I'm good. That's
I'm
a nice
good.
way to cap it off.
Yes, it is. All right. We're gonna close out the show. So, Kevin, you're up, buddy. Final thoughts.
Yeah, it's nice being back on the show this week, guys. Long 2 weeks off. I'm back now and ready to talk sports. All sports heating up. MLB about to start it up. NBA playoffs are about around the corner, and we definitely got you covered. So hope everybody had a good show tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Steven, you know the drill, my brother. Let's
Great.
close it out.
Great job as always with you guys, Kev. Glad to have you back on the show after 2 weeks of being off, man, due to the illness, man. And glad you're back with us. And can't wait to have Joey back on full-time and Randy full-time back on. And, man, MLB starting this Thursday. The Final Four is this Saturday in Houston. And we wouldn't be remiss if we didn't bring this up again. WrestleMania, baby, is here. WrestleMania 39 this Saturday and Sunday in Los Angeles. And don't forget to catch the Nation's Corner this Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, 3 p.m. Pacific time, as the guys and gals talk about WrestleMania 39 goes Hollywood. And so excited for Mania this weekend. And looking forward to recapping another wild week of sports next week. And with that being said, Ezra, wrap us up, my friend.
Sure will, man. Thank you so much, everybody who watched this video. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Don't forget to follow our individual social medias, which will be at the bottom of this video. Follow the Nation's Corner. Follow Too Sweet Cosplay. Follow this show. And don't forget, we'll be back next Tuesday, as usual, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, as we do what we do best, and that is dissect the world of sports. In WrestleMania, yes, is this weekend. So much going on. You have WrestleMania. You have the GCW Collective with Bloodsport, World on Lucha, the Effie's Big Game Brunch. For the culture, you have so much to watch, so much to get. It's going to be a crazy, crazy weekend, and of course, some of those matches are going to be hard to not miss. You've got Kota Ibushi at Speedball Mike Bailey at Bloodsport. You've got a bunch of different other shit going on, man, during the weekend. Check it all out, if you can. It's going to be a lot to digest, we know, but the Nation's Corner will be there to dissect some of it this week, so check them out. With that being said, for Kevin, Rory, for our buddies Joey and Steven, for Steven, and for of course our other buddy Randy, and for myself, Ezra Vickery, we'll see you all next week with another great edition of Our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week for another World of Sports. Enjoy WrestleMania, everybody. Let's go.